Hi everyone, another whimsy page today. This one's more whimsical than the last one. So I'd already gessoed the page and then put down some sky blue acrylic paint. I'd pre-traced the design that I'd printed from a Google search onto some tracing paper, and now I'm going to transfer that onto the page using a stylus and some white transfer paper. No, it's not, it's graphite. So I didn't want to bore you with doing all that, but that's what I did. So now I'm taking some serene chalky finish acrylic paint mixed with some white to paint the fence posts there. Just a lot of painting fiddly bits within this page, so I'm okay with the end result, but it could have been better. I'm still learning to shade with the acrylic paints. So now I'm just putting down some light green, some soft jade, just a light shade there on all the leaves. And then adding some leaf green mixed with the soft jade, just to try and get a blended look. It doesn't really work too well, but anyway, I'll get there one day. Sometimes I overwork it. I should just leave well enough alone, but I don't. I'm adding some darker green again. This one's bright green, I think. Probably could have been a bit darker, actually. Maybe a few coats on them. I just got lazy. And now we're going to try and colour the log. So I'm using some burnt sienna at first, just to give it a coat. I think I show you the whole process, so I don't skip some and then go towards the end. I think sometimes I tend to reduce what I show to save on the length of the video. So I don't know whether you prefer seeing the whole process or skipping through bits, lengthy bits, just cutting those down a bit. So let me know in the comments below and I'll work with what you guys would prefer. So I'm using some yellow ochre for the end of the log there. And using some of the burnt sienna as well, just to give it some depth. And now I'm going in with some darker paint there, espresso. Just trying to give the log some depth. I thought this was burnt umber, but I think it still is the espresso, because I come in again with the darker paint, which I think is the burnt umber. This one may be the burnt sienna. Pretty sure it is. Who knows? I paint these pages and then a few days later I do the voiceover, so I tend to forget unless I write it down at each stage. But I've become lazy and I'm just writing down the products that I've used, not in the order with which I'm using. Anyway, pretty sure it's burnt sienna. Mixed in some white with the sky blue, I think, paint. Or maybe I just use the sky blue and then add the white later. I can't remember. This is a very hard brush, so I'm trying to dry brush on some white to give it some highlights, those windows. And now I'm adding, I think, the yellow ochre with the burnt sienna. And then going in with the end of the paintbrush, scratching some lines in it. And now I'm coming in with the burnt umber, just to separate the components of that log. I'm using a fine line brush, a detail brush, I don't know what they're called. Yeah, I just noticed there that a piece of the paint of the brush was stuck to the door there and I can't get it off, so it's there. So I'm going in with some Kelly green, darker still, to try and give those leaves a look of realism. I don't know. Just going in with various shades of the greens. They're looking quite messy at the moment. And now I'm getting some, I think it's light green, bright green. No, lime. Look at the screen, Jen. And just giving some highlights to the leaves. See, I think I've overworked it. That's my issue. They look very messy. So now I'm painting the rocks, pebbles, with some grey acrylic paint. I've left the leaves alone for a while. And I've mixed some white with that grey just to give some highlights to the pebbles. And now I'm going around the leaves. I started off with the fine point of the distress marker, pine needles, but then it just wasn't working. It wasn't showing up, so I ended up using the brush end just to add the veins and outline the leaves, which helps. I've still overworked them though. Now off camera, I transferred the little ladybug, and I've just applied a coat of gesso. I think I applied a couple of coats of gesso, and now going in with some flesh acrylic paint for the head, and now using Tuscan red for the body of the ladybug. And now I'm actually drawing the one that's on its lonesome there, only because it's quite simple drawing. So again with the Tuscan red for the body, I just give the head a black, Mars black acrylic there for the head. Going in with a Posca pen to add the details to the ladybug, or both of them. That Posca pen wasn't working too well, so I just grabbed another one. I probably should have thrown the first one. So just using that Posca pen to add the details to the ladybugs. Now going in with a white Sharpie paint pen for the eyes, and then I painted the feet with the flesh and also the hands, but it just wasn't happening there. So I go back in a minute with the white Sharpie pen. Just using a black Stabilo pen for the fence there and the nails. So here I go in with the white Sharpie paint pen, and once it's dry I'll go over it again and see if I can't get the flesh colour on it. So I'm using a green Stabilo pen here now to outline those leaves. And here I go in with the flesh paint for the hands. And now I was at a loss as to how I was going to colour in or paint the grassed area without too much drama. So I thought I'll just use a Zig Clean Colour brush. This is light green. So using the water brush to spread that colour around. And that worked quite well. Yeah, I didn't think you needed to watch me do the whole lot of that grass. So I did cut the video there. So now I'm using a black Posca pen to write the title. It's A Bug's Life. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back next week with another page. Bye.